Hey guys, welcome to the video, and today we're going to look at the top 10 games made by Bethesda. Now, I talk about Bethesda Publishing Studio and Bethesda Game Studio, whether it be both of them together or a project either one of them worked on. Now, obviously, this covers a variety of games, and this has been inspired really by obviously Fallout 76 being here now, which I've been playing on. But I'm going to say for a start, 76 isn't on this list. Although it is a great game. Bethesda has created some really fantastic games in the past, which I think a few people have actually forgotten lately. So I just want to give you my top 10 Bethesda games that I think it, and let me know what you think in the comments below. And if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button to stay up to date on all the latest content. And thank you for all the love and support I've had so far. It's just been great. So let's get into the list. Starting off with Wet, back on the Xbox 360. Now, this is a game that a lot of people might not know, as it did have a good sales when it came out, but it wasn't a game that rocketed to the top. With Wet, you're basically a gun and go sort of game on the Xbox 360, and it was fantastic. I think it was just an almost mindless shooter, but you could really dive into it with a very simple storyline of a female assassin and just get into what you wanted to do. For people who are fans of games like Devil May Cry, etc., which I'm a huge fan of, this was the sort of game you could really get yourself behind. Wolfenstein: The New Order. Well, who knew that we needed another Wolfenstein game until Bethesda dropped The New Order in our lap. Obviously, Wolfenstein 3D being one of the most iconic games ever to have come out, but the other games that had come out after that, Wolfenstein 2 was good, Wolfenstein 3 just didn't really hit the mark for a lot of people, and then we just thought the franchise was dead. But Wolfenstein brought back a new game in The New Order and brought the series back to life, which then led on to another successful sequel as well, Wolfenstein 2. But out of the two of them, I want to pick Wolfenstein: The New Order. Dishonored 2. Again, this is a game that just has such an amazing feel to it. Aside from all the things that you can cast and the tricks you can do, it's that choice factor which Bethesda always does so well about how you deal with your targets. And you actually get rewarded in this game depending on how you approach your targets, how much stealth you choose to use, and you get a real feel for when you actually use that knife or that sword on a target, the real feeling of being in control of what went on it, as well as being surrounded by an absolute beautiful place all around you and all the little intricate bits that happen in between. Dishonored 2 was just a great entry to the franchise. Elder Scrolls Daggerfall. Now, this is a game that, looking back on it now, some people probably think it's slow and just think it's undone, but Daggerfall was a game that was ahead of itself and had an amazing open world, and obviously it was one of the earlier accomplishments of the Bethesda series. Now, Elder Scrolls has obviously gone to grow so much, but Daggerfall I think is where it really started off and took itself forwards, and Morrowind and Oblivion etc. just grew on this, but Daggerfall was just one of those games that, for its time especially, truly had an in-depth story and characters that really pulled you into what you wanted to have. The original Dishonored. Now, obviously, we've had Dishonored 2 in this list, but I've placed the first Dishonored game just a little bit higher, as a lot of the aspects in the first game and some of the groundbreaking things that it did actually gave it a bigger impact on people, and it really introduced people to that difference of having a first-person assassination style game, and just seeing how much they developed the game and what they put into it to make it so immersive in how you played. It just created its own world that you couldn't pull yourself away from. Oblivion, obviously another one of the Elder Scrolls series games. Oblivion was actually the game where a lot of Elder Scrolls fans got brought into the franchise. Obviously a step up from Daggerfall and from Morrowind. Oblivion had its own share of problems all over the place, but it was far outclassed by all the great things about it. And Oblivion was able to create a whole great world and a whole lot of elements that would then be put into future Elder Scrolls games as well. And it created a truly fantastic immersive world with characters that you wanted to engage with and wanted to believe in, and it just took a giant step forward in that mixture of RPG and open world gameplay style. Now, Doom is another game that had suffered in the past under its creator. The first Doom games, absolutely legendary in every single way. The Doom Marine is recognised by people of all different ages. Then it hit a slump when it came into things like Doom 3, where they lost that feel for the original, no nonsense, no talking, just gun, bash and slash play. Then 2016, enter Bethesda with the remake, you can call it, of Doom, where they launched the series back in again in the absolute hell zone, just merciless blooding, shooting, gunning, nutcase fiesta that you got from this, and it was absolutely beautiful, followed by a heavy metal soundtrack that made you really want to pump your blood through and just burst through the game as violently as possible. This reincarnation of the original Doom was just the absolute perfect tea that it needed to be. And as a side little bonus as well, you were able to unlock the levels from the original Doom game as well. So it was a true circle of life, and now we're looking at the new Doom game that's about to land as well, which looks like that's also going to be an absolutely amazing adventure. Fallout 3, well, for me personally, this is my favourite Fallout game ever, and it's probably my favourite Bethesda game ever. I can admit it had its faults, and it's Bethesda's first outing with the Fallout franchise, but they took the click and play strategy game and turned it into an open world, first to third person game, and they added all these amazing elements into it, and they created a true Fallout feeling. They took what they could off the original Fallout games and the Van Buren cancelled Fallout 3 and created a truly magnificent world of choice, devices and vice and ruin and joy, and they just created something absolutely magical with fantastic characters and locations that made you just want to keep exploring the wasteland, even though you really had to suffer through the horrors that Vault-Tec had laid out for the world. And Fallout New Vegas. Now, as I said, I love Fallout 3, and I love the fact that it's an amazing game despite all its faults. But when Bethesda handed the reins to Fallout New Vegas over to the Obsidian team, they truly were able to run with it and create something even better from that base plate. Now, New Vegas was just an amazing accomplishment off the back of an amazing game, which Fallout 3. They expanded it, they added more to it, they created more characters for it, and they just created a whole new world for it. The new guns, the factions, the storylines, the way they connected, the choices and the outcomes you created, they just made them more and more, just so you had to keep playing it over and over. So for that, I have to pick New Vegas as the better game out of the two of them on an overall basis.
Kept you waiting, huh?
In their tongue, he is Dovahkiin, Dragonborn.
And of course at number one, what else could it be but Skyrim? Almost, I'd say, the game that put Bethesda on the map for people that weren't that familiar with Bethesda works. Skyrim took you back into the Elder Scrolls series with a whole new setup, better graphics, better gameplay, amazing storytelling, a fantastic map, and you got to fight the dragons across Skyrim, deal with the Nords and all the other races, and take on every single other faction around, whether it be dealing with the fact that the Stormcloaks are fighting, or if you were going to side with the Imperials. 1,000 stories with 100 sub-stories attached to it. Skyrim was a masterpiece with an amazing soundtrack to top it all off, which is just one of the key elements of Bethesda gaming. Well guys, thanks for watching the video, and as always, if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button to stay up to date on all the latest content, and let me know in the comments below what your favourite Bethesda games are. And as always, thanks for watching.